Good evening, Wahoo fans from Scott Stadium. I'm Jack Lowe. This is the Cavalier Connection podcast, live from Scott Stadium, the field, after Virginia takes the 16-9 loss to the Demon Deacons of Wake Forest tonight. It's now 11:15 at night. Just got done with press conference with Coach Elliott, as well as player interviews, and we'll have some of that on our YouTube channel in just a bit, or maybe later tonight or tomorrow. Be sure to go check it out on the Cavalier Connection. But really frustrating loss for Virginia tonight, 16-9 again. That final touchdown for Wake Forest coming off of a punt return touchdown that bounced into the hands of the returner for Wake Forest. In fact, to be exact, it was Hernandez for Wake Forest who caught the punt after letting it bounce right where I'm standing, kind of ran right by and took it towards the hill to the end zone for a touchdown. Virginia did not score a touchdown one time tonight. Eric Ward and the operations staff only had to fire fireworks during the national anthem. Never had to fire them for a touchdown because it didn't happen tonight. Offense struggled immensely. We'll get to that in a minute. Before we kind of discuss the offense and the problems with it and everything that went wrong, let's talk about the defense. The one bright spot for tonight, only giving up 16. Really, when you think about it, without the punt return touchdown, it's like 9 points. the defense came up huge tonight. It was all field goals. Didn't give up a touchdown other than the punt coverage team, and they showed up big. So in the fourth quarter, like 5 minutes to go, multiple times where they couldn't get a stop on third down. Then finally stood up tall. Ended up giving up the field goal again, which ultimately did not matter. Again, defense did its job tonight. Shout out Coach Rudd and everybody on that staff. Unbelievable job. Were outstanding. But as Coach Elliott likes to say all the time in his press conferences, you got to play complementary football. And Virginia did not do that tonight. The offense did not show up. But again, defensively, Cam Robinson all over the place. Blocked a punt in the first punt of the game was blocked by Cam Robinson. Mitch Melton fell on top of it. That was huge. Virginia did not capitalize that. They got a field goal, didn't get into the end zone. Again, we'll talk more about the offense in just a moment. But huge play from Cam Robinson. And again, Robinson was all over the field tonight with his tackles. I'll give you the exact number here because I do have the stats with me. If you give me just a moment to find. Here we go. Robinson led the team in tackles. 10 tackles for Cam Robinson. Had an outstanding night again. Looking like one of the premier defensive players on this Virginia squad. But not only that, also a premier defensive player in the country, in the ACC, whatever you want to say. Cam Robinson is a difference maker. He's been outstanding. Again, led the team in tackles tonight. 10 total tackles. Had the block punt. I mean, he's done everything he can. So Cam Robinson, absolutely crushing it. And the rest of the defense, really doing their job. Secondary, Jason Brevard had a couple nice coverages. The Emmanuel Carnley had a huge pass breakup on a third down. He did his job. Defensive line, not quite as much pressure as I would have liked, but again, they got it done. Only ultimately gave up. How many rushing yards did they give up? Because it wasn't but so many. I don't think. They gave up 148 rushing yards, but they gave up 64 passing yards. Wake Forest passed for 64 yards. And what was the they didn't have many completions either. Let me find that. I'm sorry. Wake Forest, I don't know. I can't find it. But regardless, here we go. 7 completions. 7 for 16 was Robbie Ashford, the quarterback for Wake Forest. 7 for 16 for 64 yards. Secondary did a job. Linebackers did their job. Defensive line, they did a good job. They got the job done. Defense was not the issue tonight. Coach Rudd, great job. I'd say A+, but you lost the game, so I can't say that. But the more concerning thing tonight, a couple things. Number one, the offense. 9 points. Number two, Chandler Morris. First quarter, goes down after he rushes for 6 yards. His only rush of the night. Ran for 6 yards and ultimately got squished between 2 Wake defenders. It was hard to see from up in the booth. I want to say it was a head-to-head contact maybe. He took a shot to the head, regardless if it was head-to-head, shoulder-to-head, or whatever it is. Elliott says he was okay after he came out onto the field in street clothes, but he didn't come back into the game. And, I really want to believe that he is okay and he'll be back for Durham, but we just don't know that. I don't know. It's an undisclosed injury, whether it's he might be concussed. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case, or if it's another issue. But he didn't return tonight. Very scary hit. I got a little animated on my Twitter earlier saying that should be an ejection. Looking back, I don't know. I'd have to see the replay. But it was a late hit. I feel like it was a dirty hit. It might not have been. I don't know. I have to watch it back. But ultimately, it just sucks. And, a lot of the blame for the game is going to go down on the fact that Morris wasn't on the field and we didn't have our starting quarterback, which is rightful. I get that. But let's talk about a deeper issue. The play calling. Offensive coordinator Des Kitchens. We've been discussing this since he was first brought on. He's never really been popular within the UVA fan base. A lot of people upset with him and his play calling. And I know you have your backup quarterback in the game in Danny Kaelin, and you can't do as much. But man, just some of the play calling, you can't help yourself but question. There's a reason why I do this, and I'm not on the coaching staff, so I like to kind of let them do their thing and not question it, but so much. But at the end of the day, man, like the offense didn't move. They did not move. They ended up getting 177 rushing yards, but you got to think a lot of that was carried by two rushes. Number one, the Kaelin rush that came right by where I am and unfortunately stepped out of bounds. That was a 52-yard rush, I want to say. And then Jamari Taylor, before he fumbled, the play before that, ran for 30-something yards. So that's where all your rushing yards basically came from. You had a couple nice rushes with Jamari Taylor on that final drive. But, you had 177 rushing yards, but how much of that is kind of bloated from the fact that you had a couple explosive runs? So you can look at it like that. Passing tonight, Kaelin finished 18 for 28, 145 yards, no touchdowns. Took 2 sacks, fumbled twice on while being hit in the backfield, which was a really big issue. Turnovers really deep in our own territory prompted Wake Forest to be in field goal range already. So, but with that being said, receivers tonight, Jamari Taylor led with 7 receptions. Terrell Harris had 60 yards, 36 yards for Cam Courtney. He had a nice little jet sweep tonight. But, offense didn't move, and you got to start pointing fingers eventually. Yeah, Chandler Morris wasn't in the game. Yeah, it was Danny Kaelin, but the play calling was very questionable, I'd say. There was a 1 third down play call, 3rd and 8, I want to say, where Virginia opted to run the ball, and it went nowhere. And then you bring on the punt team, and it's like, what are we doing? A couple other times as well, 3rd down plays, just in general, the offense could not move. It was really unfortunate. The Jamari Taylor fumble where he had a great rush the play before, but gets stripped. Very unfortunate play. And, it was just an overall rough night for the offense. We're going to discuss this more later this week, whether it's tomorrow or later this week. We're going to dive into this more, so be on the lookout for more episodes coming up, recapping all of the events that took place tonight. We're going to dive into it more, look with a magnifying glass, try and figure out what entirely went wrong. But there is one thing that we know went wrong: the offense. The offense did not play well, and that's that. Offense couldn't move the ball. Total all-purpose yards. I thought I had the number right here. I don't, but 177 passing, 164 passing. Chandler Morris ended up finishing 3 for 6 before he went down for 19 yards. And then obviously he had the 6-yard rush where he did not return to the game. So, overall, again, defense, outstanding job tonight. The defense kept Virginia in this game 100%. The offense couldn't counter. The offense could not play complementary football, and therefore you're going to lose the football game. So with that being said, big game against Duke next week. Cal ended up beating Louisville, so that kind of weighs that down. And now the ACC is just an S show at this point. You don't know what's going to happen with the standings. So many one-loss teams. And, it's going to be crazy. Again, we'll dive into that more later this week. Ultimately, there's only one thing you can do after this. You recalibrate, you go into practice, and you find a way to beat Duke at Duke in kind of a neutral site game. Duke doesn't get a football crowd, let's be honest. You got a game against Duke next week. see if he can take care of it. That's going to wrap us up tonight. Appreciate all of you for listening. Check out either tomorrow or later this week. We're going to break this game down more. Go check out the CavalierConnection.com. We'll have articles breaking it down more. And that is that. So appreciate all of you for tuning in. And go Hoos.